104.5 The Team, your home for New York Yankees baseball. And thanks to Tech East Fire and Water Restoration, your best way back to normal. Visit them online, tefirewater.com. We are joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Buster Olney. Buster, little baseball, a little important baseball this weekend, huh?
A big series. Look, I've been thinking about it the last week or so. I mean, really, this is the most important, I think, set of regular season games. And I'm not just talking about this series, but all season long between the Red Sox and the Yankees, really since 1978. Because, in the last 20 years, for the most part, if you were the Red Sox and the Yankees both had an idea that they would probably make the playoffs if they would play well, and it wasn't that big of a deal. But now, with the way that the playoff structure is, where if you don't win the division, you get the one-game playoff, man, Red Sox-Yankees this year is going to be a big deal because two of these these teams are two of the three best teams in baseball right now, and yet we know this. One of them is going to wind up playing a one-game wild card to continue their season, which is why I think both teams are going to be ramped up for this series and for the games the rest of the year.
So, Buster, it's safe to say you completely understand why Sessa pitched yesterday, and anybody who criticized that's just out of their mind.
Yeah. We just got off a conference. I don't think he'd mind if I tell this story. But we just got off our Sunday night baseball conference call, and Alex Rodriguez mentioned some of the speculation that other guys might pitch, and he was like, "Are you kidding? Like the Steinbrenner family is going to let somebody besides Luis Severino take the ball? Are you kidding?"
In all seriousness, though, like Buster, by the way, Chris Onorato in with Levack here. I'd kind of love to see Loizaga in a spot like Saturday or even Friday night. I get Sabathia and I get all that, but I've been pretty impressed by Loizaga so far.
He has been impressive, without a doubt. And look, I know from talking with the Yankees people that they're really excited about what they're seeing, but they also understand that he's a young pitcher. And I just tell you, as someone who covered a lot of Red Sox-Yankee games, they're definitely among the veteran players. There's an additional level of excitement and preparation, and so you can understand that, if he had actually been lined up to start in this series, if CC Sabathia, you could see him going up to Aaron Boone, who's a good friend of his, and saying, Aaron, that's great, give me the ball. And I think everybody, as Alex described on our conference call today, he's like, all of a sudden, you got the restaurant people saying, beat the Red Sox. Everyone's focused on it. You're getting text messages from celebrities, from semi-baseball fans, from real baseball fans, your former teammates. Everything is ramped up by a factor of 10 when the Red Sox and Yankees play, and that's why the Yankees are lining up their big dogs.
Buster Olney with us right now talking Yankee Sox this weekend. Now, Buster, I'm bringing my kid to her first ever Yankees-Sox game Saturday night. Sonny Gray on the mound versus Chris Sale.
Yeah, do me a favor. Don't get arrested.
Well, that's why I waited until she was at least 14, almost 15. She knows how to handle.
You gave her some money and said, look, if you need this is bail money for me.
Right. Here's my dad's credit card. Please bail him out, please. What is this? Let's start with Sonny Gray. What does this matchup mean for him Saturday night?
I think so. Look, I mean, and we'll get to David Price in a second. I think it's bigger for him, but let's face it, among Yankee fans like yourself, there are some questions about Sonny Gray, and is he ready for prime time? Is he ready for the big games? Is he someone who can be trusted in big games? We certainly have seen stretches this year in which games in which he's really trusted his stuff, and he's been aggressive. And then there have been times when he's played better lineups when it feels like he's picking around the edges of the strike zone. So while I don't think this is going to be the litmus test for Sonny Gray that it's going to be for David Price on Sunday, it's going to be some kind of a test. Let's call it a quiz.
All right, so you brought up Price. What does this mean for him?
Oh, I think it's huge. You're talking about since David Price joined the Red Sox, his ERA in Yankee Stadium is over 8. Okay? I mean, he's absolutely gotten pounded, and, even he understands sort of this conversation going on about, will he pitch in Yankee Stadium? Did he duck out of a start earlier the year, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Because when he was asked about pitching in that game on Sunday, he sort of jokingly, half, kiddingly said, yeah, I'm going to be playing Fortnite instead of doing that. But there's no doubt that, if you want to be the guy for the Red Sox, if you want to be accepted by Red Sox fans, then you better do some damage against the Yankees. You better have success against the Yankees. Here's the problem for Price against the Yankees lineup. You know, an evaluator who has seen Price repeatedly told me that right now, where David Price is, where he basically throwing a fastball or a cutter on all of his pitches, there's nothing in his repertoire, and his fastball velocity right now is at a career low 92.7. There's nothing that makes a hitter uncomfortable. So it'll be very interesting to see, the at-bats of the Yankee hitters against him at a time when, let's face it, David's going to have a lot of scrutiny on him in this game.
Buster, will we learn anything this weekend out of the Yankees starting pitchers, be it Sabathia or Gray, that will allow us to jump to a conclusion, okay, well, now Brian Cashman will really go make a big play towards the trade deadline for somebody in the Archer, Hamels, I won't throw Bumgarner, DeGrom into the conversation, as opposed to the cheaper option would be a J-Happ?
Well, and Chris, I think that one way or the other, no matter what they see out of the trio this weekend, I think they're going to go get a starting pitcher. Because while Loaizaga has been impressive and, Sonny Gray, as I mentioned, had some spots, I think the injury concerns with Tanaka and Sabathia, which are going to be inherent, because Tanaka's got the ticking time bomb in his elbow, with a partially torn elbow ligament. Sabathia's got that knee, which is when it feels okay, then he's fine. But when it's not right, he's not right. I think they're going to go get a starting pitcher either way. I mean, you mentioned, Bumgarner. I'm sure that phone call's already been made where they checked in and are you interested in trading him? And I'm sure the Giants hung up on the Yankees. I'm sure that they probably have the phone line open, the red phone to the Mets, in case the Mets ever want to talk about their guys. But you guys know, like I do, that phone is not going to ring. I actually think that J-Happ is the best of the available options after that because of how he's throwing. He's so much like, and Levack, like I am, is old enough to remember this, he feels like Jimmy Key, this generation's version of Jimmy Key, where you're talking about a veteran lefty who knows what he's doing. He seems to get more comfortable as he gets older. He learns about himself. Nothing upsets him. He's very easygoing. And, the Yankees have a long history of acquiring left-handers for their park. I think that's who they're going to wind up with before the trade deadline.
Buster Olney with us right now, 104.5 The Team, brought to you by Tech East Fire and Water Restoration. Buster, I have become the target of Yankee fans, of all people. Can you believe it?
They've turned on one of their own.
They have, because I look at a guy like Clint Frazier, I look at a guy like Brandon Drury, and I think that they'll ultimately be the big pieces used to bring back an arm.
Yes. I would 100% agree with you. Look, during the wintertime, when the Yankees were talking, the Astros and the Yankees were talking about, okay, who's going to get Garrett Cole, the guy that the Yankees were willing to give up at that time was Clint Frazier. And, they weren't willing to give up Andujar. I think at this point with Brandon Drury, the Yankees certainly fully understand that the longer that he stays in the minor leagues, he hemorrhages value. And I got to believe that, they're looking at Andujar and what he's doing this year, and while you always have to protect yourself against injury, Drury's not a part-time player. He's an everyday major league player, and I suspect that the Yankees, if some team asked about Drury, put it this way, I don't think they're going to refuse to make the deal because they won't put him in the deal. I think now is the right time to move him.
It's just clear that you've rubbed off on me. That's almost exactly what I said. I can be taught, Buster.
Buster, I've got a weird one for you.
Okay.
I've always thought if I could be Major League Baseball commissioner for a day, or if I got to make one change, it would be that we wouldn't have the managers wearing these ridiculously full uniforms. As I mentioned to you off the air, I'm a Braves fan, and you're picturing Bobby Cox in a full uniform. It's just a little absurd.
A really full uniform.
So that's what I'm saying. So my question is, I haven't yet seen, I feel like in my mind anyway, I haven't yet seen Aaron Boone in the full-on jersey. He's got the short-sleeve windbreaker thing going on. Is he wearing a jersey underneath that?
If he isn't, he's not going to tell you.
Yeah.
Because we know that, and I'm sure you remember this, but Terry Francona actually used to run afoul of the commissioner's office because they do have a rule requiring a full uniform. But Tito, and I don't think he'd mind if I tell you this because he's talked about it, he had some physical problems with the circulation. And so because he wanted to stay warmer, he wouldn't wear the jersey. He'd wear one of those pullover tops. And the commissioner's office did not like that, and I think he was fined a couple times for that. And so I think that was always Tito's answers. Yes, I have a uniform on, wink, wink, nod, nod, underneath it, and that might be the case with Aaron. And I'm going to tell you this, too. You say you don't want managers to be in uniform. You're right. For some managers, that looks ridiculous. Go back and find a picture of Connie Mack wearing street clothes in the Athletics dugout and tell me that doesn't look as ridiculous in a baseball dugout as a really fat manager wearing a uniform.
This is usually how most of my ideas go. I feel one way strongly about it, and then I don't have an alternative. So I don't know what to tell you, honestly, about what they should be wearing.
Go with a Belichick, right? Go with the front office or something.
Yeah, something like that.
See, Buster's always got the solution. Buster, changing gears to a far more serious thing. What's going on with the Mets front office now that Sandy Alderson has a relapse of cancer?
Yeah, and that's really tough news. I mean, I got to know Sandy. I've done different things with him through the years, spent time with him, and you're talking about one of the great people in the sport. And I really feel like that when we talk about this new, Moneyball type analysts who, are running front offices now, Sandy was the model for that. Very smart, well educated. He went to Dartmouth. Served in the Marines. Very open-minded, very progressive. I mean, forget the movie Moneyball and what was said in there. Sandy was kind of the first guy along those lines. But that said, I think moving forward, the Mets, John Ricco's someone that they know well, and he's going to be one of the guys stepping in. Omar Minaya has worked for them before, someone they know well. J.P. Ricciardi. I do feel like that whenever the Mets, and Sandy, I think laid it out the other day that he probably is not going to come back in any sort of a capacity where he's in charge. I do think the Mets should take a hard evaluation internally about how they run their business. I've said this to you before. I think Fred and Jeff Wilpon need to understand that they need to take themselves out of the decision-making loop and defer to a general manager of their choosing who is part of this progressive analytic wave. We talk about the Mets and their dysfunction. I think that's been part of the problem. I know that because I've talked to people in the organization who feel afraid to make decisions because of folks up top coming in and getting involved in it, and that's not a great way to run a baseball team in 2018.
Cowboys fans have been waiting for Jerry Jones to remove himself from a position like that for a long time. Buster, in Gaz's place, who, by the way, Gaz said, did he not, Levack, that the Braves would make a wild card this year? Yeah. I laughed at him, even as a Braves fan. Can you tell me something good about my Braves?
100%. The fact that the Nationals are kind of slogging along, because idiots like me were saying, hey, this is the prohibitive favorite in the National League East, and they have not taken control of the division. Bryce Harper's struggling. The starting pitching is kind of beat up right now, and as each day goes by and the Nationals are not taking control of that division, the Braves and the Phillies come into the mix. The Phillies can add a lot of help before the trade deadline because they have a ton of payroll flexibility. The Braves have those dynamic young players. Ronald Acuna Jr. is expected back in the lineup, as you know, on Friday. And my son, 14 years old, he is a huge Braves fan, the only one in Westchester County.
Love him.
I'm sure. So you guys will be rooting for Acuna as he comes back and feeling like your team's pretty dangerous.
Love it.
Yeah, see, there's more Braves fans in this area now because Ian Anderson gets drafted to them, and now Kevin Herter from the same high school locally is a part of the Hawks. So there's a lot of Atlanta fans all of a sudden popping up around me, Buster.
And up around you, but down where I am, my son is one of those obnoxious Braves fans. Like I was an obnoxious Dodger fan growing up in Vermont because he wears his Freddie Freeman shirt to school all the time, especially after the Mets lose.
All right, so Buster, I know where you're going to be Sunday night. You're going to be at the stadium for Severino Price.
I can't wait.
Are you gonna...
It's their Sunday night game, and everyone's saying, oh, Red Sox, Yankees, Sunday night. We see it all the time. This is our first one of the year. Red Sox, Yankees on Sunday night. Any chance you'll get there a day early, hang out with me, and have a few cold ones on Saturday night?
Don't do it.
I might be there a day early, but I got to tell you, I got to get in and out. I wish I could stick around and hang out with you, but I got to get back because my wife is out of town, and so I'm watching my 2 kids that night.
That actually sounded sincere.
Right. I almost bought
He
that.
would like to, but yeah.
I heard the truth. There was no Levack. I'm not hanging out with you.
Oh, and I got to take a shower and wash my hair too. So sorry.
I had to do laundry. My parents said no. I wanted to go.
Right. Exactly.
Buster, man, we appreciate you like always. I look forward to seeing you on the television. And hey, if you want to slum a little bit on Saturday, you know my number.
Yeah, I'll hang out with your daughter and prepare for the bail money. Okay.
That's probably the smarter and more fun place for you. Buster, thanks so much, brother.